Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Ben Olson. That's Nathan Fox. We're the founders of LSATdemon.com and our weekly podcast, Thinking LSAT. We have an email here from Big A.
Big A. Big A asked for help choosing a personal statement topic. Here are two ideas. 1. Discuss my time as an intern with the FBI. I met several lawyers during my internship here and developed an interest in criminal prosecution, evidence gathering, and the general process of criminal procedures to an extent. Leave that part out. Leave the to an extent. Only talk about the good stuff, the stuff that you're into. Although, since this internship, I have taken some corporate roles and developed interests in other areas of law, so it may not be 100% genuine still, but I do believe people will look at it as more noble, honorable, and valuable. Any thoughts about all that, Ben?
100% genuine? It's an interest you have. You don't need to pretend it's your sole love.
Right. You don't have that much space in a personal statement. And so, and it's not permanent. It's not set in stone. They're not asking you to prognosticate your entire life and commit to one particular field. If you did this internship, you want to write about your experiences there because you think it demonstrates, that you're serious about the field, or you think it demonstrates certain attributes that are going to be attractive to a law school. If you succeeded at this internship and you want to make yourself look like you were a positive member, contributing member of the team, then write about it. But I think you're way overthinking it if you're like thinking about what they're going to think is honorable or noble or trust me, they want you to get corrupted by corporate law, right? I mean, that's almost what they do is like, they take people like you and they end up trying to turn you into a corporate lawyer.
Yep.
Because they're gonna heavily emphasize on-campus interviewing. They're gonna have the law firms buying you pizza on campus every Friday. They're gonna it's more prestigious for them to have you making a lot of money. And you make a lot of money in corporate law. So like you being worried about just they're like hoping that you can be corrupted to the dark side.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 2, during my time as a summer analyst for a corporate restructuring consulting firm. Discuss my time as a summer analyst for a corporate restructuring consulting firm. I hate that that's just a summer job. But I also hate that number 1 was just an internship.
Yeah. Maybe this is all that Big A has.
True. In which case, that's fine, but I'll keep going. I had contact with a few lawyers and saw firsthand the legal process for bankruptcy filings. I am more interested in this now and also will be starting here full-time after graduation from undergrad. Ooh, that sounds promising, actually. The problem here is I'm not sure if my professors will appreciate my career path choice here because I will not be saving the entire universe, so to speak.
Your professors
I know one of my professors
don't care. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. Yeah.
He's talking about his undergraduate professors.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are writing him the letters of recommendation. I know one of my professors who I am close with jokes about me being a sellout before even starting this career path. I personally don't give a fuck about their opinions, but I want to butter them up if needed to get the best letter of recommendation I can out of them.
Okay, so I was wrong. It sounds like this professor cares. I don't know if that would affect their personal statement or their letter of recommendation. Even if it did, just ask for a different professor. I don't know.
Yeah, it may or may not. If you have any doubt, then just use somebody else.
You can always ask them, and then they might share it with you, and you'll see.
They very likely might suggest that you draft it and then give it to them, and then they'll edit it. But yeah, you could always just make I don't know. It feels a little sketchy to be like, hey, can I see a copy of it?
No, I'm not asking to ask for it. I just think the vast majority of mentors, friends, professors who write letters, they take time to write these. They're not writing them for the school. They're writing them because they want to help you. And so a lot of times they take the time to write them and then they turn around and say, "Hey, look, this is what I did for you." It's a way of getting credit. I don't know what percentage of professors share their letters with people, but I think it's a high number, just voluntarily.
Or they might ask you what types of things you should emphasize, at which point you could say, like, well, what do you have so far? Or something like that. I know there's just lots of ways. If you're actually close with them and you guys are joking around and talking, they want to do you a favor.
Hmm.
Okay, anyway, to the extent law schools even consider personal statement topics, do they prefer to see noble causes like social justice warriors, Mr. Lorax, etc.? Or do they like to see applicants who are going to be going into fields that will make them look good, dollar signs? Yes, I am aware that some positions beneficial to society can make law schools look good, maybe politicians or judges or something. But if I had to choose between these two topics for my statements, which would y'all recommend best, Big A?
Okay, first of all, write both of them and see how they sound.
And that was going to be, yeah, before I even read the whole email, I was like, well, don't tell us about your ideas, write your ideas and see which one is good.
Yeah, the answer might become obvious to you. Second, I actually think that this is so big A is assuming that the noble causes are going to come across better to the admissions committee. My operating assumption is actually that they're going to generally come across worse because they're going to read them with a skeptical eye.
And because
So,
there's so many of them,
yeah.
it's a very common theme. People want to write about how they're going to single-handedly save the environment, or they're very well-meaning, but there's just so many of those. I don't think the law schools are like, oh great, finally we have somebody who wants to do something about the refugee crisis.
They also don't care because I mean they foster this mentality by talking about justice and all that stuff.
Right.
But I heard someone once say, and I don't know where I heard this, but something like 40%, some big number like that of personal statements touch on some sort of public interest, goodwill, justice, fighting causes, yet only 2% go into public interest. So there's obviously a disconnect, and the admissions
And
officers
US
know that.
News is now changing their rankings procedure to emphasize employability.
Yeah.
If the reality of the situation is that there aren't these jobs for so-called social justice warriors, or whatever Big A is talking about here, it to the extent that those people, are just like pursuing this fantasy job that doesn't actually exist, or a job that does exist but there's not nearly enough of them for the, as you say, Ben, 40% of the people who are talking about causes in their personal statements, the law schools, might very reasonably look at those and go, wow, that there's more people applying than there are jobs. So that doesn't look employable. They're, like I said earlier, they're kind of hoping that you're going to get corrupted toward the dark side of, like, just who's going to pay me to be a lawyer. I
Yeah.
want to be a lawyer first. It's not really about the causes. It's about, I want to be employed as a lawyer. Well, guess who employs people to be lawyers?
Yeah.
It's the people with the bulldozers, not the people trying to stop the bulldozers, generally.
Yep.
So, yeah. One thing I want to emphasize to Big A is that the personal statement is about you. It's not really about them. It's not really about, I mean, I guess I kind of want, what I want you to do is to portray yourself in a good light. And if you're just like kind of trying to send them signals, like you're really thinking about the schools a lot. I guess it's good to think about your audience, but you've
You're
got to
like
be in this
overthinking.
too,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It has to be personal. So, um I guess I would ask questions that are more like, do you think you contributed more at the FBI, or do you think you contributed more at this consulting firm?
But
Because,
still, write both, right? And that will manifest itself.
yeah, and you could end up submitting a combination of both, right? There's no reason why it has to be one or the other.
Well,
Like
I
maybe
guess or you could submit both. I was just thinking you write both because
no, no, no.
then
You could end up with a version of it that incorporates elements of both.
oh, I see. Yeah, you definitely could. Yep.
Why, if especially if these are kind of short experiences, maybe you need to talk about both. If the truth
Yeah.
is you're 21 years old, then then it's like you can't make it look like you have a whole FBI career, and you also can't make it look like you have a whole corporate restructuring career. You've
Yeah.
got to acknowledge that these are like, well, I did this over here and I did this over here, and both areas are really interesting to me. And that's the kind of like eager, positive, practical sort of tone that I would try to strike.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for writing in, Big A. Email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.